to our revered speaker for today, His Holiness Bhakti Prabhav SWAMI Maharaj. And all glories to the Samud Vaishnava devotees. We thank you all devotees for being here. We are very much blessed. We have His Holiness with us today, who will be sharing with us from the Nectarian Srimad Bhagavatam. We encourage devotees to be attentive and mute yourselves if you are not speaking, and if possible, you turn on your cameras, if possible. Well, thank you so much, Maharaj. So without further ado, I may put the verse on the screen, and Maharaj will take it over from here.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyamudiyayat. Nastveja Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistike. Today we will reading from the third canto, chapter 8. This 8th chapter narrates or tells the history how Brahma took birth from the lotus flower emanating from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So we will hear in these verses about the pastime of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. First, I try to recite the Sanskrit. Oda Plutam Vishvamidam Tadasit Yat Nitrayamilitrinyamilayat Aindra Talpe Disasyana Eka Kitaksana Svatmarata Niriha. Now, the word, we will read the translation, yeah. So at that time, when the 3 worlds were submerged in water, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu was alone lying on his bedstead. The great snake Ananta, although he appeared to be in slumber in his own eternal potency, free from the action of the external energy, his eyes were not completely closed. Purport. The Lord is eternally enjoying transcendental bliss by his eternal potency, whereas the external potency is suspended during the time of dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. Can read text 11 now. First the Sanskrit. Santa sarirech pita bhuta suksma kalatmikam saktim udirayana uvasatasmin salale padasve yatan alodarunirudavirya. Translation. Just like the strength of fire within fuel wood, the Lord remained within the water of dissolution, submerging all the living entities in their subtle bodies. He lay in the self-invigorated energy called Kala. Purport. After the 3 worlds, the upper, lower and middle planetary systems merged into the water of dissolution, the living entities of all the 3 worlds remained in their subtle bodies by dint of the energy called Kala. In this dissolution, the gross bodies became unmanifest, but the subtle bodies existed, just like the water of the material creation. Thus, the material energy was not completely wound up as in the case in the full dissolution of the material world. Text 12. Chaturyuganam sasasranapsu svapam svayudiritaya svasaktya kalakyaya saditat karmutantro lokam apitam tatishe svadehe. Translation. The Lord lay down for 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas in his eternal potency. In his eternal energy, he appeared to be sleeping within the water. When the living entities were coming out for further development of their fruitive activities, actuated by the energy Kala Shakti, he saw his transcendental body as bluish. Purport. In the Vishnu Purana, Kala Shakti is mentioned as avidya. The symptom of the influence of the Kala Shakti is that one has to work in the material world for fruitive results. The fruitive workers are described in Bhagavad Gita as mudas or foolish. Such foolish living entities are very enthusiastic to work for some temporary benefit within perpetual bondage. One thinks himself very clever throughout his life if he is able to leave behind him a great asset of wealth for his children, and to achieve this temporary benefit, he takes the risk of all sinful activities without knowledge that such activities will keep him perpetually bound by the shackles of material bondage. Due to his polluted mentality and due to his material sins, the aggregate combination of living entities appears to be bluish. Such an impetus of activity for fruitive result is made possible by the dictation of the external energy of the Lord, Kala. Om Jnanatimanasya Chinanjana Shalakaya Saksvan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah. Chitchaitanyam Anupistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svamrupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shigo Shiyuda Padakamalam Shigam Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Charachatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chatpate Kaupesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhani Sutta Devi Panamama Hare Priye Pancha Kalpta Vishake Pasan Vishapadnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvashesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this verses describe the pastimes of Garbhodagasari Vishnu. And the first verse then that we read describes that when the Lord sleeps, he is in Yoga Nidra. That Yoga Nidra is described as transcendental sleep, divine sleep. Our sleep in the material world is different. There is the goddess Nidra, Nidra Devi, that her service is to bring everyone asleep. But her vast residence is the night. So once Nidra Devi that approached Lord Vishnu and said, I'm Nidra Devi, my residence is the night, but where should I go during the day? Where should I live in the day? That all the other devas, they have their planets, they are local, but what is my vase during the day? Where should I stay? And Vishnu said, you can go wherever Krishna Katha is spoken. That because so many people feel tired and you can enter their bodies. This can be your vase. I got a Sankirtan story of a devotee that was in the 70s, was distributing books in the airport. At that time it was still possible. They were distributing books in the airport, and a devotee came across a man. He wanted to give him the Bhagavatam. But the man said, no, why giving me a book? I can't sleep. So I cannot concentrate on reading. I cannot sleep during the night. And the devotee said, this book is the cure for you. Every morning in our temple, we read this book, and from the moment the speaker opens the book, all the devotees fall asleep. Anyway, I don't know if it is distributed the book or not, but it's true. Many times during the Bhagavatam that Shutakirti told us that he learned the art to sit before Srila Prabhupada, hearing the Bhagavatam. He was sitting before him. He learned the art to have his eyes open and sleep. Anyway, how he did that, I don't know. But yes, but yoga nidra is different. There is a distinction. Because there is no difference between the Saktiman and the Sakti. The possessor of the potency or the energy of the potency itself. You have the energy and energetic. So if there is fire, there is heat and light. They are inseparable. So they are always associated. When you have sun, there is sunlight. So Bhagavan is the Purush, and we have Karpataka Vishnu is one of the three Purushas that are responsible for the creation. And Bhagavan has so many energies, Devi, Prakriti, that of course devotional service is, means becoming a Mahatma. Mahatmas, Taman Parta, Devi, Prakriti, Ashrita. A Mahatma, devotee, knows how to connect with the spiritual energy. So Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita about his Devi Prakriti. There are so many energies so he has his Antaranga Shakti, his Bahiranga Shakti, Tatastha Shakti. He has his potencies by which he engages in activities such as Jnana Shakti, Bala Shakti, Kriya Shakti, so many Shaktis. So yoga, nidra, is also Shakti. So Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is the Purush, is the Shaktiman, is the possessor of the Shakti, is the possessor of the Shakti and the controller of the energies. But for Yoga Nidra, nothing is impersonal. In the fullest understanding of consciousness, because we are the consciousness in the body, everything is personal. Because the Shakti man is personal. Swam Bhagavan is a person. So Karnodakasai Vishnu is a person. Kartakasai Vishnu is a person, and he's sleeping, but his eyes are half closed like a yogi. So the yogi is described in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Samankayas yogir evam daryan achalam stira samprekshanasi karam svam dishasanavalokyam pashantatma virata abir brahmachari vatestita mana samyam yamachito yukta shita matpara. So one should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal. So it's saying here, staring steadily at the tip of the nose. Staring at the tip of the nose between the eyebrows. Between the eyebrows, so he stares at the tip of the nose between the eyebrows. He fixes his eyes, and they are half closed, because fully closed means snoring, sleeping. It's half closed. When your eyes are fully closed, then you are going to sleep. But Vishnu never sleeps. And the soul never sleeps. Sometimes the material energy sleeps. This is called avyakta. And sometimes it's manifested. Prakat and aprakat. The material energy sleeps, but the antaranga shakti, the spiritual energy, doesn't sleep. The soul never sleeps. It's always awake. So when you are sleeping, dreaming, still the soul is the observer, sees the dream. And when you are in deep sleep, then the soul is aware of its own self, the soul. But it's still aware in deep sleep. Because if you call someone, wake up, will wake up, still a connection with the consciousness, with the soul. The soul is always awake. So it's awake and it gives energy to the body and gives power to the body. And when you are sleeping, then the soul is also awake and taking you and driving you, because the soul is driving your body when it's sleeping. The soul is driving the Sukshma Shaya. The Sukshma Shaya is a subtle body. The mana, the buddhi, the ankar. If we are dreaming, svapna, the soul is always awake. The self-realized soul sleeps very less because they are awake. They are enlightened. They are not absorbed in this prakriti. They are absorbed in transcendence, the self-realized souls. They are absorbed in serving the Lord. So Garbhodakasai Vishnu enjoys always bliss. That in 11:12, this partial destruction is described. So Garbhodakasai Vishnu appears to be sleeping, is peaceful. But that does not mean that he's not powerful. It's like fire in wood. You have living organism, you have dead matter. But in that matter, like in wood, there is the power of fire. The potency is there. It's not easy to stop fire. Not easy. In summer, there are many big forest fires. We have heard in California and other places. And the fire brigade comes out to control it, but despite their technological advancement, many times they cannot. So Garbhodakashaya Vishnu looks sleeping, but is very powerful. These analogies are helping us to better understand how Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is extremely powerful. The power of the jiva is greater than the power of matter. Like an atom. When an atom is split, it releases extreme power. This is the principle of the atom bomb. To split an atom. So within the jiva, there is also the power to transcend matter. We have that power. But it is now, now the jiva, we are transmigrating in this world. We have become subservient of matter. We have become the servant of matter. So sometimes the jiva gets information that he is superior to matter, but not how he is superior to matter. Many times he takes shelter of impersonalist philosophy, which explains only a part of the matter. So he thinks he has become spiritual. And even by following the process, he thinks himself liberated, but is still under the influence of matter. In Yerevandaksha Vimuktamanast Vastabhaya Visudabhaya Buddhaya, the verse from by Brahma, that with great difficulty they come near to liberation, and they think they have become liberated, but they only think they are becoming liberated. The real liberation is going back to the spiritual world. And for this you need to transcend the modes of nature. And Krishna says, Mamsyo vyabhicharana bhakti yogana sevata sagunan samatichitam brahma bhuya kalpati. Only by pure unalloyed devotional service can you transcend the modes of nature. And then one becomes invested with the power of the internal potency, and then one can achieve liberation. So the jiva is finite and the Supreme Lord is infinite. The finite jiva can only serve the Lord when it is powered by this internal potency. It is not by knowing Brahman that one becomes the Supreme. So this is not the Vedic aphorism. Now I become God. It is just in their imagination. So the power the power to transcend matter is in the jiva, but it has to be awakened by devotional service. Like Hanuman. Hanuman had been cursed as a child, and he forgot his powers. Because he was so powerful, he could catch the moon. And he wanted to catch the moon, but of course the devas were thinking that would be a cosmic disaster. So the demigods gave him the benediction that he would forget his power until it was fit to be manifest. So we know when all the monkey army came to Setu Bandhu, they asked the monkeys, because it was more than, I think, 120 yojanas to to jump to Lanka. Who can jump as far? And one monkey said, I can jump 40 yojanas. Another said, I can jump 60. Then Jambavan said, now I'm old. I was jumping all over the universe before, but now I can only jump 80 yojanas. So yes, but finally, it was revealed to Hanuman that he had forgotten his powers. And then he set off, he jumped to Lanka, and he climbed up a mountain and then set off like a rocket. But he had forgotten. So that's because Hanuman didn't need a bridge, he jumped. He had the power, but he didn't know, because Indra had given him a slap and he forgot that. But after the battle of Poram at Sri Lanka, Hanuman redrew again his power. Because later Bhima, when they were in exile in Himalayas, and that Draupadi found a beautiful 1,000-petal lotus, and it was floating in the river, and she said to Bhima, I like more of them. I like to offer them to you, Yudhishthira. Please get more. And we know that Bhima was running up the mountain, roaring like a lion. He was fighting with lions. And he finally found this a beautiful 1,000 lotus petal, that lotuses, 1,000-petal lotuses. But then all these yakshas appeared, we know, and the yakshas said, this is not a place where humans are allowed. This pond here, this lake, belongs to Kuvera. You should ask him. If he gives you permission, you can take the flower. Of course, Bhima was a Kshatriya, and a Kshatriya would never beg. He said no. And he started to collect the flowers, but then the Yakshas attacked. But then later on the way, he met a monkey. And the monkey was blocking the road with his tail. He was very, very old. Bhima said to the monkey, remove your tail. And the monkey said, I'm too old, I cannot. You please pick it up. But then Bhima tried to pick up the tail with all his power. He said he had the power of 10,000 elephants, but that was, in reality, he had more power than 10,000 elephants. But with all his power, he could not move the tail. And then he understood this monkey is very special, and he asked, who are you? And he said, I'm Hanuman, a servant of Ram, but now I'm very old. And Bhima said, oh yeah, my brother, because Hanuman is a son of Vayu, and Bhima is also a son of Vayu. And they embraced each other. But yes, Hanuman had so much power. We saw also Vamandev. Vamandev was a small brahmachari. He was begging for 3 pieces of land. That's like, yes, he was powerless, and And Bali Maharaj was thinking, yeah, well, he's asking for 3 pieces of land. He told Brahmandev, you are only asking for 3 pieces of land. I possess the entire universe. I can give you a planet. So be intelligent, ask for more. But then after that, he was witness of the power of Brahmandev. So he appears incapable, but so much power is there. So we have that same power in the soul. Of course, we don't have the power of Brahmandev, but we have the power to transcend the modes of nature and the Methodist devotional service. But unfortunately, like in text 12, it's all this during the night of Mahavishnu. Yeah, well, all these jivas who were active during the previous creation, they were transferred to Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. And in the body of Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, due to the influence of time, these material desires start to move Prakriti, start to move the material energy due to Kala, time. And his body becomes bluish. So that shows by these material desires, the cosmic manifestation will become manifest through Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. So by their material desires, they construct their own prison. Of course, Garbhodakasaya does it, but it's because they want it. Otherwise, he would not do. So these material desires are there. So what is the purpose of the material creation? It has a few purposes. It has a purpose to give a chance to the conditioned soul to live out these desires. Of course, these material desires, it's just very problematic. Krishna says, Isam svasya bhagavatuka yoninga evatatiantapantakanti anatishura Buddha. The sages have said that if you want to enjoy, if you have material desires and you want to realize these material desires. So what is the result of material desires? The result of material desires is that you will suffer. The result of enjoyment you have to pay with suffering. So what's the use of all of it? But yes, it gives them a chance. But there is also the reaction. Because Krishna wants us back to the spiritual world. And that's the real purpose of the creation. In the first canto, it is said that the Lord appears to reclaim those in pure goodness, those who have come to pure goodness, the devotees, to bring them back to the spiritual world. So in the material creation, there are the Vedas, everything required to make spiritual advancement. But they must want. If one comes to goodness, one will be able to start to understand that one is not a body. A very difficult thing in this world, because everyone is in a mode of passion and ignorance, and then you can't understand anything about this. You think it's a dream, thinking that spiritual things is escapism. It's not reality. That's the influence of material desires. Material desire of passion, ignorance, you cannot understand that you are not this body. But the Vedas described processes of purification, jnana yoga, astanga yoga, then finally bhakti yoga, the supreme purifying process. And when you become purified, you start to understand, I'm different from this body. And then one start to understand, I'm not this mind. I'm the consciousness. I'm the observer of this mind. But I'm thinking that I'm this mind. Therefore, I have to learn to tolerate this mind and purify it. That, like rivers go to the ocean is not disturbed. I should not be disturbed by the rivers of material desires coming into my mind. And only one start to understand something. And that's the purpose of the creation. The real purpose, to get out of the prison. But we construct our own prison by these material desires and by the way how we associate with the material modes. We come in a certain loka and in a certain body and so on, identifying with the body every time and suffering. This world is only a place of suffering, but we are not part of this world. Becoming a devotee means living in a way that one does not become part of this world. Be part, but be apart at the same time. That's the question. Srila Prabhupada came to America. Did he become American? Did he take over all the American habits? No. He came to America, but internally he was still in Vrindavan. He didn't become part of America. Srila Prabhupada said about his disciples, his American disciples, you are not really Americans because you have rejected the American way of life. That is a reality. So these are a few lessons we can learn from these 3 verses of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and is the prelude of the creation of Brahma, the first living entity in this universe. Any questions, comments, please?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing this wisdom and knowledge, love with us. Dear devotees, please, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I have this question. This living entity, the Jiva Tattva, is supposed to be superior to material nature. But almost everyone in this material world is under the influence of material nature, which is supposed to be subordinate to the living entities. Now, my understanding is that that is the case because we give up our dependence on Krishna to come here. And that is what happens when we come here. So my question is, does that mean that whenever a living entity turns towards Krishna and serves Krishna, that soul is no more under the influence of the external energy? Is that what it is?
That, in principle, that's correct, but one need to understand what taking shelter of Krishna means. It means Anyabhilasta Sunyam, Jnanakamatan Anavitam, Anukulyena Krishna Nushilnam Bhaktir Uttama. Engaging in pure devotional service. If your service is materially motivated, you are not really taking shelter of Krishna fully. And only to the extent that you are taking shelter of Krishna, you will be freed from material nature. Krishna says in 4:11, Yeya tamam pabachante tamstatev vajamyam. According to our surrender, Krishna reciprocates. But the principle needs to be understood. Why am I under the material modes? That's explained in 13th chapter, verse 22 in Bhagavad Gita. Purusa pragati stohi bhunkte pragati yan gunan. Karanam gunasangusya satasatyomi janmasa. Because living in the material world follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes, pragati jan gunan. It tries to enjoy matter. And that's the reason. By that one associates with the material nature and takes birth again and again and again. That is what Krishna says. Then by that way we become a servant of matter. But we are a servant of Krishna, we've forgotten that. So if we again start to serve Krishna, to the extent that we engage in full service, we become free. But this material desires binds us to this material world. It's not easy to give them up suddenly. Yes, Prabhupada said, someone asked Prabhupada, how long does it take to take Krishna consciousness? And Prabhupada said, 1 second. 1 second and you can think of Krishna. But the next second, your material desires take your thought of Krishna away. And that's the problem. But the more we think of Krishna, the more these material desires disappear. And usually it takes many years. That is the stage of Namabhas chanting, Anartha-nivritti, to purify our heart. And by that we become free. And then we become again servant of Krishna. Full servant. And from the moment we have attained liberation, you are not suffering anymore. You don't identify with the body. You identify with the spiritual body, which has become active again. And then you will not take birth again. That's the idea that I understood from Bhagavad Gita. Does that help?
Yes, it helps. But the reason and the angle I asked this question is somehow by Guru Krishna, Maharaj, your mercy, I understand what you explained. But that is one aspect of material nature, as I understand it. There is this understanding that in this material world, material nature's design is that living entities will go through 6 transformations. And we see those who are Nitya Siddhas, they also go through these 6 transformations. Like Srila Prabhupada used to say that when I was young, I could run here and there. Now I'm an old man, I cannot run as I used to. So it is material nature's design that on this body, the body will have to dwindle at some point. So that is why I'm asking, does these changes that happen, especially on the physical body of the pure, dedicated devotee of the Lord, make him like being subjected under the material nature, or even though these things may be there, but it's not considered being under material nature. Well, maybe I'm just confusing myself, but some devotees are with the opinion that once you become a pure devotee, then whatever happens to this material body, you don't feel it. And I've been wondering that if you do not feel it, then you should not grow old. Then you should not feel the urge to eat. But these are nature's design, nature's demand on this body. And I am thinking that even though one may have these things on his body or affecting the body, if he's a pure devotee, these things may still be there, but I'm still thinking that he is not influenced by material nature, even though these symptoms may be there, these obvious changes may be there. So that is why I asked the question whether such pure devotees are also considered to be under the modes of material nature or being controlled by material nature.
First, the body is always controlled by material nature. Whether
Okay.
it is the body of a pure devotee or of the body of an ordinary devotee, it's always controlled by material nature. And it's controlled by the super soul material nature. That he is the superintendent of material nature. He controls the body. And Krishna says, Deinasmin chatadi kamram chavram charata dat the antara. You have to become a dhira and you tolerate all these changes of the body. You tolerate the mind, everything. That, but then the question is about a pure devotee. What does he experience? That for this we have to understand first what a pure devotee is. Prabhupada speaks about two kinds of pure devotees. And it's good to make this distinction. You have at one side, you have the self-realized devotee who is beyond liberation or nishta. It means that anartha nivritti is finished. It doesn't chant Namabhas anymore, not in anartha nivritti. It continues chanting, but it chants Sudanam, because it's beyond, and Sudanam is beyond liberation. And by that, it develops love for Krishna. So that's one pure devotee. That's the first kind. Such a pure devotee, he does not identify anymore with the gross body. Especially when it comes to bhava, prema, he doesn't know anymore he has a body. He doesn't know it. It's like a madman, like a drunken man. He's so drunken that he doesn't know whether he wear clothes or not. A pure devotee is not aware whether he has a body or not. Completely unaware, because he's acting with its spiritual body, which is within the gross body. And he does identify with the spiritual body. Therefore, it doesn't doesn't feel the need to eat all these things, but he knows, there's still some awareness. There is this body, so I maintain it. Therefore, but mostly because they are acting with on the spiritual platform, they practically don't sleep anymore, like the 6 Goswamis. That and practically eat anything anymore. But that's one type pure devotee. There is a second type of pure devotee. And that we learned from Prabhupada. That someone asked Prabhupada how many pure devotees are there in ISKCON. And Prabhupada turned to his secretary and said, how many members do we have in ISKCON? He considered all of the devotees in ISKCON to be pure devotees. But what does it mean? We go back to the 70s. In the 70s, joining ISKCON meant joining the temple, give all your possessions away and engage in the mission. Their motivation came only to please Prabhupada and Krishna. En dat is Anya Blasa Sunya, Mechanica Matanavtam, Anukulgrena, Krishna Nusilnam Bhakti Uttama. One may have still a lot of material desires, but his motivation becomes, his motivation to please Guru and Krishna becomes the priority, first priority, and the other lose priority. They may still be there, and we may use some of these material desires in Krishna's service, but it's all secondary. It is secondary. So that is also a pure devotee. A pure devotee, someone with pure intentions to serve Krishna, without us asking to serve Krishna and the spiritual master, without asking something in return. And that becomes also a pure devotee. And what is the characteristic of such a pure devotee? That his heart becomes very quickly purified. He enters anartha nivritti. It is usually a process of many years, but one enters anartha nivritti at least. And the more one makes advancement, the more one focuses on Krishna, the more happy that one is feeling, and the less controlled by material desires. So that's also pure devotee. But if after understanding this, there are a few other things to mention about what you said. You spoke about Nitya Siddhis. Krishna brings devotees back from the spiritual world to take care of his pastimes. And it looks they are overwhelmed by material things like Arjun, Abhimanyu was killed and he was lamenting. But he was lamenting, yes, but he did not give up his service. The next day, with more force, he engaged in fighting. That he was focused on his service. But Krishna wants these Nitya Siddhis to play their role really, really nice as human beings externally. And he inspires them. He inspires Arjuna to lament. But this inspiration of Arjuna to lament is not the material energy. It's Krishna's spiritual energy. It's completely different. But we cannot see that externally, that difference. So that makes it a bit more difficult to understand this. So these are a few words I could say on this. What I learned also from Prabhupada, hearing his lectures and from other devotees. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, that reminds me of a statement Kirtanand Maharaj made some time ago that devotees and non-devotees sometimes appear to be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the devotees think the karmis are wasting their lives. And the karmis also see the devotees and they also think the devotees are wasting their lives. So what is wrong with these people? What do you do for fun? you know. But Maharaj was saying, but in the end, Krishna will prove that even though the devotees appeared to be doing the same thing as the non-devotees, but they were serving the Supreme Lord. So externally, it might be very difficult to tell whether this person is being influenced by the superior energy or the inferior energy. If one does not know the difference, but even though the activities may be the same, the results may not be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for the explanation. And devotees, if anyone else may have something to ask. Maharaj, you're speaking from Belgium, right?
Yeah, I'm in a few hours I will leave for Canada, but I'm still in Belgium.
Okay. Well, thank Krishna. There is peace in Canada. They just had their election yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, so peaceful election. Um, like I said, devotees. Otherwise, I still have one question, but I want to see if devotees have any question to ask. Maharaj, this Brahma sprouting from the lotus navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And it is stated that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu appears to be sleeping, but is not sleeping. And all 11 entities enter into the body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu in their subtle bodies, not in their gross bodies, not in their spiritual body, but the subtle bodies. So when the 11 entities enter into the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu in their subtle bodies, do they also feel their individuality, or they all merge? Like in one perfection, when one attains the Brahman perfection, they merge with the Brahman. Is that how it is? Or even though they are in the 11 entities are in their subtle bodies, in the body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, but the 11 entities still acknowledge their individuality?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is mentioned here that Kala is added. So, and it's due to Kala that their tendencies arise again. That when I underwent surgery, they put me under the anesthesia. And during that period of anesthesia, just before I was fixing my mind on Krishna, and then a moment later I saw again Krishna before me and some light. And then I opened my eyes and looked up, and I could see the clock before me. And it was 1 hour later. So it was like time was gone. 1 hour was gone. And Prabhupada says that death is like deep sleep. But in deep sleep, if I sleep at night and I'm going into deep sleep, the next morning I have still some sense of time. The time has passed during the night. But during this anesthesia, no sense of time. It's just taking away that. And like staying in the body of Mahavishnu and Kabutakashai Vishnu is like that. It just, time is, it's not there, it's gone. But then they add time. And then it starts to happen that then their subtle bodies starts to become awakening again. Awake, let's see, the reaction with the modes of nature start. That's so that's interesting. Experience beyond time. And it's fascinating because we know in the spiritual world there is no time, or there may be time, but time has no influence.
No influence.
But here, everything is under influence of time. Everyone grows, becomes older, and so on. That when on a spiritual platform, there's no influence of time. This is all inconceivable. To understand that, one must be on the transcendental level.
Yeah.
And we can only understand that theoretically. But it's promising that that experience I had during this surgery, I didn't experience any interruption of consciousness. And that's very strange. That an hour was gone without interruption of consciousness experienced. So like it is said Narada Muni's previous life, it's described how by the chanting, it was like a flash and lighting, and it was in his spiritual body. But then he entered Mahavishnu to come out again for the next creation. So Mahavishnu, the night of Mahavishnu is very long. So did he stay all this time inactive? No, because for Mahavishnu, it's the whole creation is like an exhalation. A split second for him. And Narada Muni was also beyond time, that time. And it was like a split second. So experience of time are different. Time, material time. And we see that also on the different planetary systems here. Experience of time is different. It's difficult to understand for us, but it's very, very interesting.
Well, it's difficult to understand, but even the analogy you gave, the anesthesia analogy, helps a lot because I also have had that experience myself. I had to have anesthesia to have surgery, and I knew when I was going into the surgery. I didn't know what happened during the surgery. I woke up and the time was still the same.
Yeah.
Because they set the clock. It's a fake time. They set the clock in such a way that you wake up, you think nothing has happened because you remember the time you got in there, and you wake up, the time is still the same.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but when I opened my eyes, I was thinking, when are they going to start? But then I felt some pain at my left side, slightly, because it was still under anesthesia most of.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Anyone else before Maharaj leaves for the day? Otherwise, we'll bring this to a close. Maharaj, we can't thank you enough for blessing us with your wisdom and your divine appearance on our platform at least once in a month. It's so blissful, it's so divine. I had asked, I'm always asking questions. I had asked a question before that in the scriptures, when you see a Swami, when you see a Vaishnav, it's very auspicious. You get so much wonderful blessings. Is this the same when you see the devotee in from Zoom like this? Is it the same? And I asked two Maharajas, and they all said it the same. Yeah, they say yes.
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason why it's very important that, if possible, we turn on our cameras so that at least we can be seen for a flash, so we can tap into this mercy. That sometimes devotees, based on whatever they're doing, they may not be able to turn on their cameras. But thank you so much, Maharaj. Devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to our revered speaker, His Holiness Bhakti Prabhav Swami Maharaj. Jai. Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Recording has stopped.